Hello, and thank you for visiting my little video today. As I always say, this is a very exciting video for a few different reasons. First reason is that I worked really hard to make like a really nice character background for all the characters in the household, and second reason is that I did a house style that I don't usually do, like the Spanish style, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to start by going over the actual written description that I made for the house. So what I wrote says, Sonia, Dorothy, Julian, and Auguste have two things in common. They all love being creative and they're all best friends. They moved in together in the hopes of pursuing their dreams and having fun. Will they all find their success and happiness? So basically that's the description of the house. It's just 4 young adults and they're all really good friends and they're all kind of creative artist people, as the name of the household would suggest, I guess. So I'll go over the actual individuals later on, but the house itself I thought was pretty cool. So the house itself is kind of designed off of Spanish style. I don't know. I'm not an architect or anything like that. I would say Spanish style is the best description that I could give. In Southern California, where I actually grew up, there's a lot of houses in this style, depending on where you go. It's a pretty popular kind of style, and especially since this world is supposed to be kind of based off of LA, I thought it'd be pretty fitting. So as you see, it has this cool little courtyard and it has this backyard, and I did a lot of those terracotta tile sort of things that are very much that Spanish influence, I guess. So yeah, I thought that was cool. And then the idea behind the actual furniture and stuff, I guess, is that so the idea is that one of the characters, her dad is a really successful person. He's super rich and he has his own story, so you'll meet him later, and I'll notify it or whatever. But he's super wealthy, so the idea is that he's kind of providing some of the financing for this house, because in real life, a group of 4 artists just out of college would not be able to afford a nice house like this, at least where I live. I don't know about other places, but where I live, you would not be able to afford a nice house like this off of 4 artist salaries. So the idea is that he's kind of backing the financing, and so it's a rental, or he owns it, it could be kind of whatever you think makes the most amount of sense. But so because of that, all of the floor tiles and the wall coloring and the outside and everything is very plain and simple, which if you've ever lived in a rental, in an apartment or whatever, that's what it is. You're not allowed to change the flooring or the wall paint in most cases, especially where I live. So yeah, you might kind of look at it and be these are artistic people. Why do they have plain brown walls and flooring? And that's why, because in a rental you wouldn't be able to change anything like that. And so same thing with the kitchen and the bathrooms. I made them super related to this Spanish tile with Spanish style with the terracotta flooring and everything. And then the actual, what's it called? The actual plumbing and stuff is super plain. But then once you look at the actual furnishing, the stuff that you would move in yourself when you have a rental, that's super artistic and colorful, depending on which one of the characters we're talking about. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, it's basically just designed to be a realistic rental, even though in The Sims there's not actually rentals like that, of course. But that's kind of what I intended it to be, I guess. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the actual individual characters. So the actual timing might be slightly different from what's on the screen. What I'm saying won't necessarily match the screen, just because I might have more to say about one character than another or whatever, and it's kind of hard to match that up perfectly. So I'm just gonna put a little timestamp so you know which room is being worked on as I'm speaking, if that makes sense. So I'm going to first begin with Sonia Arrowwood, and she is a young adult female, and her aspiration is Master Chef, and her traits are art lover, mean, and creative. And basically, if I had to describe, so actually let me go back. So I am super happy, I guess, with this like household, because I feel like I like tried to make them really realistic, I guess. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I feel like I kind of based them off of people like in real life that I've met or whatever throughout school and just like life. And so they just, I don't know, I feel like the actual characters are like, I mean, obviously they're not real people, I'm not saying that, but like I tried to make them as realistic and like well-rounded as I could. So I feel like they all have like little personal backstories in my head and like details about them that you can't necessarily share like in the game, obviously. But anyway, so Sonia, I already described her traits previously. I just wanted to describe why I'm going to talk about them in depth. But basically, Sonia is the like coolest person you've ever met in your whole life. She is that girl that was like not like a mean girl in high school or whatever, but she's like the cool person that like always wears like the really trendy clothing and has like a really cool Instagram where she shows like the coolest food in the area, and she's always like really well put together, and you never see like, she never has acne or anything, you know, she's just like always perfect and like super trendy and beautiful. She never has like a stain on her shirt or anything like that. So basically in my head, her room is like super like trendy and like chic, I guess. Almost like that Parisian style, I think is what it's called. I could be totally wrong, so please tell me if I'm wrong. But her room, there's like zero clutter. Sonia would absolutely put away all of her dirty laundry and everything, so her room is like super clean, very simple colors, you know, no clutter or anything like that. So that is Sonia. Character number 2. Sorry. Her name is Dorothy Bernthal, and her aspiration is to be a master actor. Her traits are cheerful, self-absorbed, and outgoing. And Dorothy is the one who, her father is the one that's like kind of financing this whole situation and like helping them pay for it. And like I said, he has like his own character storyline on another lot, which obviously I'll go over like when it's actually his lot, I guess, if that makes sense. But basically, Dorothy, the way she dresses is like super vintage and like quirky, but also like cute at the same time. Because you know how sometimes like in high school or whatever, so I base all of these off of people, like stereotypes, of course, but sometimes there's like people who are like weird but in a cute way. Like she like loves like really old vintage stuff and like cats and like really bright colors and like all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like her style. And of course, Dorothy gets the biggest room in her own private bathroom in the house because her father's financing this whole thing, or at least financing a big portion of it. So that's why she got the nice situation. But her actual like room, I guess, is like very, I think it's 70s, maybe 60s. I don't know. But basically the style from Get Famous, like all of that kind of like teal and orange and all that kind of style, that's like her whole situation. So that's Dorothy. And then moving on to Julian Golding. Julian Golding his aspiration is to be a best-selling author, and his traits are creative, dance machine, and hot-headed. And I would say that Julian is like that really creative guy that's like an absolute mess all the time, like an absolute disaster. Like his hair is always like a giant mess, and like he always has like his shirt isn't buttoned the right way or something like that. Like that's kind of how I picture this character. And so I gave him like really simple like clothing and stuff, because I feel like he absolutely just like has like the most simple plain beige clothing, and then he just can like mix and match it all he wants, you know, because he doesn't ever have his laundry done or whatever. And the actual like style of his room, I guess, is I imagined that his mom picked it all out for him because I feel like that's what he would do. And so it's all like, it looks like almost like if you went to IKEA and just like picked the stuff that they have on display. That's his room, like just very like simple colors and like super, you know, just like clean and everything. But then there's also like a bit of a disaster with like his boxes of papers and stuff on the floor. So yeah, he's kind of a disaster, but he also like tries to keep it contained by like wearing and having really simple things, if that makes sense. And then finally, we have Auguste Platt, and his aspiration is to be a painter extraordinaire, and his traits are gloomy, music lover, and I accidentally wrote down in my notes gloomy twice, so let me double check what his last one, jealous. So gloomy, music lover, and jealous. And basically I modeled his character off of, I don't know if you've seen the new ABC Family show. I don't think they're even called ABC Family anymore. I think they renamed the like channel, but I don't know what it's called. But so if you've seen the like spin-off of The Fosters, I think it's called Good Trouble. It has like the two sisters in LA or whatever. I watched like the first half of the season. I didn't really like it, so I kind of stopped. But basically, I modeled Auguste after one of the characters. I think his name is Gael. I believe that's his name. I'm just kind of saying this off of memory, but I can see his face in my head. But so basically, like kind of the way he looks and like his personality. So Auguste is a kind of a mess disaster, but in a different way than Julian. Auguste is like a genuine mess where there's like paint everywhere in his room and like everything's just all over the place and like super colorful, and like he doesn't know how to deal with his whole situation, and his hair is like in a giant bun on top of his head, and he like genuinely doesn't have time to deal with anything. And one thing that I did that I thought was kind of funny was that in the beginning of the video I mentioned how I didn't paint any of the walls because in a rental you wouldn't do that. But in Auguste's room, I painted the walls like really bright colors because I feel like he wouldn't care, you know? Like he would just be like, I'll just fix it later or something. So I thought that was kind of like in character for this character. But yeah, so his room is full of like lots of different paintings on the wall and like different easels and stuff, so he could do that. So basically, those are the characters and their descriptions. So now that that's all done, and I've kind of addressed the stuff in the actual like video, I did want to mention one other thing. In my last video, I mentioned how there's this really long, drawn-out saga about my computer and how much of a disaster it is. And I have another installation in the story. However, this one I guess kind of ends okay. So basically, when I tried to film, like maybe a week ago or something, I use mirrorless action to film my stuff on the like screen or whatever, and it works pretty well. It's not that expensive, and you know, it works. But then like last week when I tried to film, every single time I would finish recording, it would crash, like literally just crash for no reason. So I was super frustrated. I couldn't figure out what to do. I was like scoring the internet forums for mirrorless action, which also, like, let's all be honest, their customer service seems not so great from what I've read, but you know, I haven't had to experience it yet myself, so maybe it's not true. But from what I read on forums, it sounds like they're not exactly the most helpful, which is kind of frustrating. But anyway, so it wasn't working. I was trying all this stuff, and then my boyfriend, he actually helped me to figure it out, and he spent literally like, I think it was a Saturday, maybe a Sunday or something. He was like literally trying different stuff for an entire day basically, and like doing all these updates and researching all this different stuff, and it was like seriously taking forever. And the reason he did it actually was that I was trying to do it myself, and I kind of was just like, I can't look at this thing for another second. Like this computer was driving me absolutely bananas, and I was like ready to just like I don't, not throw away the computer, but like throw away the day, like be like, it's not happening today, I need a moment, you know, because I've been working on it for a really long time. And so I asked him if he wanted to try. So he tried, and it was like this whole long saga. He was trying different stuff, and he finally made it work. And the thing that's kind of weird is that it wasn't even like anything wrong with my computer. It was just like some setting had gotten switched. I don't know if it was because of the update or whatever, but it was like doing something that it was making it not work. And again, now you can see how well my computer literacy is, because it is really quite low. So yeah, thank you to my boyfriend, because without him I would not have been able to make this video, and he also was able to remain calm fixing this while I was not, because there was a couple times where I was like a little concerned. So yeah. But actually with that, I do have a request if anyone has like a good answer for this. Like I said, my computer literacy is embarrassingly illiterate, I guess would be the proper term for this. But yeah, so my computer literacy, not very good. I've been trying to look up like videos online and stuff, and I haven't really been able to find anything that was that easy to understand. So if anyone has like a good tutorial video on how to just understand the general like process of a computer, I would very much appreciate it. But anyway, we have just about reached the end of this video. I have all the information in like the little description box and whatnot, so please let me know if you have any concerns or questions or whatever, and I hope to see you next time.